for some weird reason, I went on Google, straight up, man. I opened a new tab and I wrote Ski Saudi Arabia. And a sand skiing website came up. And I go through the website and I get on the call with the contact on the website. And basically we start talking. It was my first race ever at 23. So yeah, definitely late to the scene. And competing against people, you know, mostly younger than me who have already had easily 100 races. So I'm in a place where I've never been before. And yeah, I crashed in my first race.
So in 11 months, you go from having never raced before to qualifying for the Olympics and actually racing in it?
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the Chatting with Pros podcast. And today I'm excited to be joined by my friend Fayik Abdi, a professional alpine skier who made history as Saudi Arabia's first ever Winter Olympian. So thank you, Fayik, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just take it back to the start. What are your earliest memories skiing?
My earliest memory skiing, I'd have to go back to when I learned how to ski, probably when I was around 4 or 5. So my mother taught me and my brothers. And ever since, or as long as I can remember, it's always been a passion of mine. So yeah.
So you start skiing pretty much as a young kid, and from there you actually decide to make soccer or football your main sport. So that's where you're most competitive in, and in fact is where we actually met at IMG Academy, where we were both studying there as student athletes. In this case, we were both playing soccer there. Let's just go over what your football journey was like. What was your thinking there during high school? Did you think maybe you might be able to go pro there?
Yeah, so my plan all along was to play professionally. I think most people at IMG were also thinking the same way, or would only go there for that specific reason. However, my journey was, altered and kind of halted due to injury. As you remember, we were teammates at IMG, and I did pick up a lot of injuries there. So, yeah, it just made my time pretty tough as a player. And then I moved to Utah for university after IMG, and I guess reconnected with an old passion there.
So in Utah, kind of famous for its skiing, especially in snowbird. That's probably the main ski resort out there. You just happen to go casually to ski, I guess so, with some friends or something, and you catch the bug essentially.
Yeah, something like that. I was in my first year in university in Utah, and it was just the beginning of the season, and I went up with one of my friends. We were actually supposed to go to Alta, which is just next door, but it was too crowded, so we ended up going to Snowbird. I got a day pass that day, and then I think the second time I already had a season pass. So I got hooked really quickly, which shouldn't have been a surprise to me. I could have easily expected that. And then, obviously once skiing took over, it just kind of changed the dynamic of how I lived as a student at that time, yeah.
Because initially the idea is to go to Utah, obviously to study, but at the same time to play soccer there, right?
Yeah, correct. So I was on the team. I was on a D1 team. They were ranked inside the top 20 in the US at the time for college teams. And I ended up redshirting that first year. So basically, as a redshirt, you don't play any games. However, you do train and you do play friendlies. What ended up happening was I just fell into the skiing way more than the football. And it was very obvious. I had ski racks on my car. I would ski before football training. And I would hate the fact that I would have to leave the slopes to go to football training. So I never thought I'd be in that position before, but yeah, that's how it ended up. And then towards the end of the football season, I was cut from the team, and obviously I was, it put an end to a long, journey and dream that I've had. But I felt like on the bright side, skiing was starting to give me more what I was looking for. And I transferred universities. From Utah Valley University to the University of Utah, which is, University of Utah is closer to the slopes than UVU was. So I ended up moving there and spent, my last 3 years at University of Utah.
And so you're trying to maximize the skiing as much as you can. And what are you thinking at this point? Are you thinking, let me just get a normal job after, maybe close to a ski slope? Or is this Saudi Arabia Olympic skier dream anywhere in your head?
No, not at all. I was just enjoying it, to tell you the truth. But I was enjoying it in, I would say, a different way than most people would expect. I was just obsessed with skiing and trying to improve and getting better. And that's really what ended up happening. I fell into the right crowd at Snowbird and started skiing with some skiers who are definitely far better than me. And yeah, I just improved and was taking it day by day. And when I got close to graduation, I started thinking of different options, what I want to do afterwards. But to me, I mean, I guess when what I wanted really changed is when I graduated from university. And when I graduated from university, I knew skiing was still going to be part of my life. I just didn't know how.
You're obviously at this point just obsessed with skiing and trying to improve there. Obviously, like most people after graduation, you're not sure what to do, but you got to find a job. Or what do you decide to do? You just go back to Saudi Arabia for some time and have a think?
Yeah, so I graduated December 2020, and it was a bit crazy time to graduate. So I just finished doing an internship for about 7 months during my last semester of university. And instead of applying for jobs and looking to get employed, I was thinking completely of something else. So I went back to Saudi in January 2021, and I knew what I wanted to do, but it was not professional skiing or anything. Basically I searched up Ski Saudi Arabia on the internet, and a sand skiing website came up, and I got connected with the contact on the website, and we started talking. And I think a month into us speaking, he gets an email from NEOM, and NEOM tell him that they're looking for a Saudi skier to film a ski film on the mountain. They have snow there. So yeah, basically just went there for a week, and we filmed this short clip over there. Obviously at the time, I didn't know why they wanted the ski clip. This was before I started training for the Olympics. Like, I was literally just a fresh grad who happened to be on a mountain in Saudi with snow, and they were filming it. So yeah.
So you do the ski film, and from there, how do you then transition to actually skiing for the federation and skiing professionally?
While I was there, they told me that there was a winter sports federation that was just created. And yeah, they said they wanted to meet me. So I went to Riyadh the week after. Didn't know why they wanted to meet. We met, and they basically asked me if I'd be interested to train and attempt to qualify for the 2022 Winter Olympics. And as soon as that idea was proposed to me, I knew that was the way. There was no, I didn't even have to think about it. I said yes on the spot, and just started from there, basically.
So at this point, they basically just give you the means to at least be able to train and take this as a profession?
Yeah, in some sorts. They created the program, hired coaches, and basically created the atmosphere and the resources for us to train and see if we can qualify, basically.
So at this point, you haven't actually ever raced before, right? At least alpine skiing, which is basically going through flags. You've never done it previously, right?
No, I never even put the race skis on or the race boots on. I knew nothing about the sport, about ski racing, before I actually did it.
And tell us about what the first race is actually like. I mean, most of the guys there have probably been racing since they're 10 or so. You're out there maybe 23, first time ever. What's going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything was going through my head at the time because I just didn't know what was going on. It was my first race ever at 23. Definitely late to the scene and competing against people, mostly younger than me who have already had easily 100 races. So I'm in a place where I've never been before. And I crashed in my first race.
Straight up.
And but it was a good lesson. I mean, I was very proud of myself because I told myself after that, I want to train like this. So obviously the way you race is different than how you train, and the approach to training is a little bit different than racing. I guess it depends on the person, but for me at least. So yeah, after that first race, I wanted to approach training more like racing, and I wanted to have more intensity. I wanted to have the same intensity in training that I had in racing, because I felt prior to racing, the intensity just wasn't high enough to be able to compete. So yeah, I just changed my approach on how I train, and yeah.
So at this point, even though you crashed the first race, which is probably the worst result possible, right? You're not in any way dissuaded.
No, I was actually encouraged, because, just to ski safe and get to the finish line would have added no value to me. However, giving it my best and practically failing was the best thing that could have happened. And I learned a lot from that and was able to grow and build from there. So yeah, I think, yeah, let's say setbacks or failure, especially in this situation at this time, and always really, if you speak generally, is very important. And yeah, I just need to turn it around and find ways to build forward, basically.
And are you thinking about the Olympics, about potentially qualifying at all during this time?
Yeah, definitely. I was. However, what I had told myself is that whether I qualify or not, this is something I want to do for the long run. And I was really just focused on getting better every day, and focusing on what I need to do today to get to where I want to get in the future. It's been my approach since then until now. So yeah, that's how I like to approach things.
So obviously it's Beijing 2022, which you essentially had less than 2 years, right, to get yourself dialed for it?
Yeah, less than like 11 months.
So in 11 months, you go from having never raced before to qualifying for the Olympics and actually racing in it?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. I must say, though, the qualification criteria for 2022 was much easier than it is now in 2026. So yeah, they did make the criteria tougher. And this qualification for me in 2026 is a lot more fulfilling and meaningful than the one in 2022. Just because I did have like a proper cycle to prepare for it, and obviously was able to qualify with the harder criteria.
I mean, yeah, even though it is softer criteria in Beijing in 2022, you're still the first ever Saudi Olympian to qualify. What's going through your head at this time?
Really not much. I knew how to conduct myself at the Olympics and, around that scene. However, I just didn't know what to do other than what I have been doing prior, which was just try to get better every day. Again, I was in a place I've never been before, in a place no one from Saudi or the Gulf has been before. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really have anyone to guide me or, show me how it should be done. But it was still a very valuable experience, and I learned so much from just the 11 days being at the Olympics. So yeah.
And in terms of the race itself, what discipline did you race in?
GS.
I guess just to give everyone a bit of context, giant slalom is one of the four main alpine skiing disciplines. Alongside slalom, there's giant slalom, super G, super giant, and then downhill. And so you decide to go for the giant slalom. And were you happy with the overall outcome of that race?
Yes and no. I think the conditions were much tougher than I had expected. And I'm not sure if you've seen videos from that day, but it was snowing nonstop. So they had to delay the second run. And I think half the field didn't finish the race, which is quite rare in giant slalom at that level. So yeah, conditions were tough. And yeah, to finish where I finished, I think that was definitely, or I guess just to finish period was an accomplishment on its own, but obviously wasn't happy with how I skied, and yeah.
And during that time, away from the actual competition, you spend 11 days at the Olympic Village. What's that experience like?
It goes by really fast. So it's just kind of all a blur to me now, It's hard to kind of break down the days, but it's just so much happening in a very small amount of time. And yeah, I mean, it's to me, I was just trying to take it all in, learn as much as I can, and grow from it. So I think that's yeah, that's really all I can remember.
And any anecdotes or funny stories out there? You're obviously with a lot of the top skiers out there that you're probably looking to quite a bit and aspiring to be a bit like them, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be around the athletes at that level is definitely amazing. So it was very, very cool to witness how they how they get along with what they're doing. So it was definitely interesting and new for me, obviously, at the time, to get like a front row seat to what goes down, behind the scenes, before the race, after the race. So yeah.
And that was your first exposure to like the top guys, let's say the Audemars, the Christophsens, etc.
Yeah, that was my first time racing in the same race as them, which of course is a completely different experience and layout to what a normal FIS race would be. So it was my first time around them, essentially.
And did you notice much in terms of like differences between maybe how you had been approaching things up till then and seeing them firsthand? Did they do things very differently?
For sure. They've been doing it way longer than I have. They have a lot more miles than I do. So, yeah, they have a way that they've done something for so long, for the same way, let's say, for so long. So they have their routine dialed, where in my case, I was just trying to find my way. But yeah, it was interesting to see how they get ready.
And fast forwarding to today and what your skiing is currently like, can you walk us through what an average day might be for you as a professional skier?
It's tough to say because it depends where we are in the world and what part of the season we're in. However, now I'm in Austria, so we ski from around 9 to 12, 9 to 1. And when I say like 9 to 1 or 9 to 12, that's not actually time on snow, but that's the whole process of getting ready and getting up, getting down, and whatnot.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize, but as a pro skier, you don't actually do that many practice runs, right? Let's say on a normal training day, you're not going up and down like maybe me as an amateur might, just for fun. You're really being quite precise, right?
Yeah, basically. So depends on the person, but people will do 1 to 2 warm-up runs. Obviously an inspection either before or after the warm-up runs. And then the warm-up runs are not in the course, so they're just free ski runs. So just, out free skiing. And then in the course, I would typically do, on the low side, 7 to 8 runs, and on the high side, 12. And then each run in GS, on average, we'd hope is 50 seconds plus, but depending on where we are, sometimes we can't get more than 50 seconds per run. So your time in the course is very limited for sure. And when you think of like how much time you're putting in towards skiing.
And are you, during those runs, are you thinking like, hey, in this one, I really want to focus on my outer ski, and this one I want to focus on my timing, or is it just more getting a good feel?
Yeah, so when you inspect a course, there's a few things that you look out for. So there's a lot of variables: where the fall line is, how is the course set, are you approaching a steep, are you getting off a steep? So all these variables obviously affect how you're going to approach it. But on a surface level, you kind of tell yourself, you need to pay attention here, you need to do this technical or tactical task here. And then maybe here you can let it go a bit and you can kind of go for it. So it really just depends.
And once that 1 p.m. time hits, you come back to the hotel, and what happens from there till you go to sleep?
So lunch and then gym. The gym, I would say for the most part, revolves around some kind of movement and mobility, and then depending on how I feel, a lot of core. And then just some single leg stuff. So just really depends, I guess.
Because do you watch much video? So just looking back at your previous training runs or races?
100%, yeah. So we film our runs. Everyone films their runs. And I try to watch that as soon as it's uploaded. So what I do is I watch alone, kind of think about the day, think about the skiing, think about the runs, and then I'd reconnect with my coach and we watch together or discuss together. But the approach I take is that I like to be my own coach, if that makes sense. I think that you being your own coach is so important, and I always tell myself, like, my coach, as in myself, is the most important coach, because I can not only see myself in video, but I can also feel myself, and no one can feel what I'm feeling when I'm skiing. So it's very important, I think, as an athlete, to really know what's going on, to understand what you're feeling, and basically what you need to do to improve. But obviously having a coach outside of myself is extremely, extremely essential, and I wouldn't be able to do it without a team, no doubt. But yeah, taking accountability and really trying to drive it yourself makes a huge difference.
And so obviously you're looking at different ways to improve, but one of the odd parts about skiing is that the slope changes every time you race, right? It's not, I think people sometimes see flags and they think they're always the same, they're the same distance, same angle, but every single race is different, right? So how do you approach that?
Yeah, so in GS, every run in a race is different, so you'll never ski the same course more than once. And you get one chance to take a look at the course, and then one chance to ski it as fast as you can, which is obviously really challenging. In training, however, it's one course and we ski it, depending on the person, but in my case, 8 to 12 times on average. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely really challenging. We try to, visualize and give ourselves the best chance to perform on the slope just one time. And I do think that's an element that people don't really know about, is that the course is set differently every time, which obviously makes it a lot more challenging.
And also, like, depending on when you actually race, so maybe there's like a 2-hour time gap between the first and the last guy. During that time, it might be snowing, it might get hot, so the snow starts to melt. Like, there's a lot of different variables too, right?
Yeah, 100%. So depending on the snow conditions, the snow can get at least a second slower, depending on, how many people went. So after 15 to 30 races, the course can easily be half a second or a second slower naturally, just because of how the snow and the course has deteriorated over time, with all the skiers basically following the same tracks. So you starting in the top half is obviously better, but to start that up front, you need to have the best points, and then for the second run, you need to finish within the top 30 of the first run, and then it flips. So the fastest racer goes 30th, and then the 30th racer goes first in the second run. So it's really challenging, and getting in the top 30 is crucial if you're thinking of scoring any points.
So you do 2 races, so you have 2 separate runs on the same slope, and then they take the average. Is that so?
No, so it's run 1 plus run 2.
Oh, so it's a sum of the 2 runs.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I see. So if you make a mistake in the first one, roughly a race is a minute and a half in length. You're pretty much done for the day, right? Even if you have a great second run, it's going to be really, really hard to catch up to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're even thinking of winning the race, you need to almost be perfect. And one mistake that basically rules you out of the course rules you out of the race entirely. So if you misplace a pass, in your case as a football player, if you misplace a pass, you'd get subbed out right away. So there's really no room for error. You can sometimes save yourself, but when you do try to save yourself, you do also lose a lot of time. So the cleaner and the more precise you can be, the better, for sure.
And in terms of the actual conditions of a racetrack, so as an amateur skier, I'm happy if it's a big powder day and there's a lot of snow. But for you guys, you're actually racing in ice, right?
Yeah, for the most part, especially at the highest level of the sport. However, you get different types of ice, different types of soft snow. So sometimes the ice can be very grippy and the skis really catch nicely. However, it can be very slippery, like it is over here right now. which is very challenging, and the skis get dull really quickly. So yeah, snow conditions change all the time, and we always try to adapt to what's in front of us.
And speaking of ice, there's this thing called watering, which many people aren't aware that you guys do to ski slopes. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so basically, obviously where athletes would be training, they won't do this on a public slope. But yeah, the coaches would water the slope, spend hours basically, watering it so it can freeze overnight, so you can have a icy surface in the morning, and then once the snow or the ice gets, let's say, softer and mixed up with some softer snow, then they'll redo the process. So yeah, it's a bit crazy for sure. There's no doubt.
So they're literally throwing, let's say they bring up a hose and they're just pouring water on the slope?
Yeah, basically. They're out there for hours watering the slope. They do this before every World Cup race, Olympic races, World Championships, whatnot. So yeah, it's the way they do it.
And what's the thinking? Like, it's to smoothen out the surface so it's less dangerous, or?
No, so basically, to have the fairest race, or to try to have the fairest race, you need to have the most consistent surface over the duration of the race. And one way to do that is to make the snow hard, basically turning it into ice, because ice, is harder to break down, and it's stronger than soft snow. So yeah, basically that's one of the main reasons. And then also the skis grip or catch into hard snow better than soft snow. Soft snow, there's a bit of a give, and you lose some of the energy that you're pushing into the snow on a softer surface. So the harder surface, if you get it right technically, should give you back the same or more energy.
And speaking about skis, one curiosity I have is, if I go to a regular ski store and I buy myself some skis, are those the same as the ones you race on?
I have no idea. I can't speak for other brands. I can't speak for most skis out there. But yeah, I think maybe some of the ones that athletes are racing on, you can find in stores.
Because do you personally, in your case, I get them custom made essentially?
I don't get them custom made for me. I get them custom made, let's say, for athletes at a certain level. So I do go to the factory and pick them up. And yeah.
And are these, let's say in my case, as a skier, I might have them to my nose height or to my eye height. Are yours particularly different to that?
Yeah, so depending on the discipline. So slalom, GS, Super G and downhill, the ski is entirely different. So in slalom, they're 165. And then in GS, they're a range between 188. I don't know if they still allow you to race with 188s, but yeah, there are some 188s. But I think for the most part, people are on like 193 to 196, if I'm not mistaken.
So they're huge skis.
And so forth. Yeah. And then Super G and downhill, they're 210 plus. So.
Okay, so like an average skier would basically just fall or not be able to turn with skis of that length, right?
No. I'd be impressed if I just saw them carry them to the slope, because they're obviously heavier and a little bit more burly than the normal ski that you'd find. So no, they're really hard to turn. Sometimes they don't like to turn if you're, not positioned yourself the right way on them. One
thing that I guess people don't quite realize about skiing is your travel schedule. You're looking for snow naturally, as that's where you train on. Can you tell us a bit more about what that looks like? Yeah, it's always tricky.
It's always tricky because you just don't know where the snow is going to be and how the conditions are going to be. So sometimes you just need to be there to find out. But we have a general plan for the season. However, it's always due to change. Right now, we're thinking about what we're going to do next month, which seems like it's going to be Italy, then Norway, or just Norway. So we're still even not sure what we're doing next month, but we have a general idea.
And logistically speaking, you travel with coaches and other people in the staff?
Yeah, basically. For the most part with 2 other coaches, yeah.
And this is like all up to you guys in terms of coordinating the food, the hotels, flights, etc.?
Yeah, we try to find what works best for us and what's going to give us the best opportunity to be able to do what we want to do around training and racing. And yeah, we basically find what suits us and we take it from there.
And right now, what are your main goals, or what are you looking to achieve in your day to day as a skier?
I have technical tasks that I'm trying to improve, specifically to where we are right now. The snow is it's very greasy, so it's not grippy at all, and it's not a surface that I'm used to or race on regularly. So yeah, just trying to get comfortable, grow the confidence on this slippery surface. It requires obviously, a lot more commitment and courage than a grippier surface, especially if you're not used to it. So yeah, just working on improving, and thankfully it's been going good. So.
And you mentioned you're already qualified for the Olympics in Milano Cortina 2026. So those are in roughly 6 months. Are you kind of gearing up towards that, or are you just seeing it as another race in the calendar?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to just kind of look at it as just another race on the calendar. However, in theory it is. And I think making the occasion bigger than it needs to be will make things tougher. So I just try to look at it like another race that I need to basically ski. The skiing doesn't change, you know what I mean? If anything, I think the skiing needs to be there more than any other day. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely preparing for that and want to be in my best shape for that moment. However, it's a whole season, so there's a lot of other challenges and goals within the season that I'm looking forward to. And yeah, it should be exciting.
And will you be racing in giant slalom, or you're not sure which discipline yet?
Yeah, for now I'm qualified in giant slalom. I'm almost qualified in slalom. However, I don't really care to pursue it, let's say, for this Olympics. I use slalom as a tool to help my GS. I think slalom, yeah, improves skiing overall, and it's good to be on slalom skis and to train slalom in the course. But from a racing perspective, yeah, I'm more focused on GS for sure. I will try to race some slaloms this year, and if I do happen to qualify in slalom before the Olympics, doesn't mean I will race slalom at the Olympics, even if I'm qualified. So I prefer to just focus on where I'm going to be competitive and then just give it everything from there.
And generally in the ski world, are some disciplines within the alpine skiing world easier than others, or are they pretty much all considered equally difficult?
There's no doubt that they're all difficult. They just demand different things from you as a skier. So yeah, I mean, it really just depends what you're good at and what you find easy or hard. So in my case, I think slalom is, yeah, super tough. However, others think it's easier than GS. So it really just depends what your strengths are and how you get accustomed to what it's presenting to you.
Yeah, because I guess in terms of speed, slalom and giant slalom are slower than downhill and super G. Is that for a particular reason that you're targeting those, which are probably just more technical, right?
They're all technical. They're just technical in different ways. There's, I think, yeah, far more skiers who are skiing tech, so slalom and GS, than super G and downhill. The thing about super G and downhill is that it's really hard to train. There's only a few places in the world where you can train like a proper downhill or a proper super G. So it's tough to get like full length training, and you need, yeah, half a dozen coaches just to run like a full downhill, or maybe even a full super G. So it requires a lot more resources to train and compete in super G and downhill. And frankly speaking, I do want to give super G a chance at the right time. I've trained it a couple times. We're hoping to train it here in the next week or so. So downhill is not on the radar, that's for sure, and might stay away from it. I think that's definitely wise. But yeah, a bit of super G here and there could definitely bring some good stuff to my ski.
And the reason why you say it's harder to train on is primarily because the slopes are longer?
Slopes are longer, you need more nets, you need a lot more safety in place. You need a lot more eyes on the course to make sure it's safe. Safety obviously is one of the biggest elements and challenges in Super G and downhill, in alpine skiing in general, but specifically for Super G and downhill.
Because what kind of speeds are we talking about here that you're going down at?
Super G and downhill, it's a range. Depends on the slope, depends on where in the course you are. But on the high end in downhill, there's 140 kilometers an hour, and in Super G, around 120 to 115, something like that.
So you're faster than most cars on a highway at that point.
Yeah, practically. And if you fall, there's nothing to save you, but hopefully a net.
And in terms of the financials of a pro skier, what are usually the ways they make money? Is it primarily by winning races that they get some prize money?
That's definitely been a topic of discussion recently. I personally believe that the ceiling for what athletes should be making should be much higher, and I think it will move up with time as the sport, I think, is starting to take a turn. But for the most part, it would be prize money, endorsements, and different kinds of support from either, NOCs or the IFC.
Because the federation itself, in your case, Saudi Arabia, but let's say in Odermatt's case, Switzerland, do those typically pay a fixed salary, and that's how you're able to make a living as the baseline, let's say?
It really depends on the athlete, where they're from, and basically what kind of support they have agreed with their NOC or with their federation. And it just depends really where you're from and performance, of course.
And obviously, once a ski season is over, the off season is relatively long. What do you do during that time?
Yeah, so what off season really means is that you're not racing. However, the training is still there, if not more intense than when it's actually race season. So during the off season, we'll mainly spend more time in the gym, and then of course ski around that time in the gym. Athletes will go to the Southern Hemisphere to train, or to the glaciers in North America. Personally, never been to the Southern Hemisphere for training, but luckily we've been able to get good conditions in the Northern Hemisphere during the summer.
And is indoor skiing in any way helpful or a good option?
100%, especially for countries like Saudi Arabia. It's very important, and in order to have more athletes from Saudi specifically to get into the sport and to actually create an ecosystem in alpine skiing, we need to make the sport accessible in Saudi. And in our case, one of the best ways to do that is to have indoor ski slopes. So with that, I think a lot can happen, and we can start building from there.
Other than indoor ski slopes, do you use any kind of, I've seen this thing that looks like a rolling turf, a bit like a running treadmill, but for skiing. Is that useful at all?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely useful for someone who's never been on snow before. It eliminates a lot of the variables and the challenges one would have to get to a ski resort and just walk in ski boots on snow. Like, for some people who've never been on snow, find that really challenging, which is understandable. Ski boots are not made for you to walk in, obviously, so learning how to walk on them just on a paved road is hard enough. Now just imagine on snow, with the variables like weather and people and whatnot. So it just kind of allows you to take that energy and just focus it on your time on the simulator. So it's definitely, I think, definitely helpful for people who haven't skied before.
So I know that Saudi Arabia is really pushing to grow in the ski world. Can you explain a bit more about what the future plans are?
Yeah, so the future plans entail growing the sport in Saudi, obviously, which is the role of the federation. And obviously they're constructing, building Trojan at the moment, which is the mountain and ski destination in NEOM. I've been there twice already to ski. First time in 2021 and then in 2023. So from the span of 2021 to 2023, it was very intriguing to see the progress that they've made. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think a lot of people are excited, and it was definitely an interesting experience to be able to ski in Saudi.
Because for those that don't know, what does NEOM mean? Is it the name of a region?
It is the name of a region. However, the term NEOM actually means something. If I'm not mistaken, neo in Latin means new, but I'm not sure where the M comes from. So it has some Latin meaning with a tie to Arabic, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, could be wrong on that.
In terms of the actual infrastructure, can you share a bit more about the dimensions of what they're building? Is it like just an indoor ski slope, or is this fully outdoor, a full ski resort they're building?
Yeah, so it's an outdoor ski resort on the mountain. So the mountain's peak is around 2,500 meters, which is in general terms high enough for cold temperatures for snow. And it's not only going to be a winter destination, but also a summer destination. And yeah, it'll have basically everything you'd expect and more at a mountain destination.
It might be a bit silly of me to ask this, but does the area produce any snow naturally at those heights at 2,500?
Yeah, for sure. There has been snowfall in that region over the years. However, it's not an amount that you can basically keep around for an entire winter. So they will be relying on snowmaking, which is something that resorts all over the world, for the most part, rely on. Most races, in Europe and on the World Cup circuit, to be specific, do heavily rely on man-made snow. So yeah, it's something that's been going on for a while.
And you mentioned you've been out there a couple times already. Did you actually get a chance to ski there?
I did, yeah. So when I skied there in February 2021, I was actually the first person to ski there.
Oh, so first person like ever.
Yeah. If someone did do it before me, I'd love to meet him or her, because I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I was the first person to ski there, and yeah, there's a video of it, of course.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was a road construction worker that got in right before you.
Well, look, we know that happened. I know that happened. But to be fair, he was on a snowboard, so it doesn't really count. He's the first snowboarder. I'm the first skier.
Wait, that actually happened? I was just joking. I didn't realize it actually happened.
Yeah. No, that actually happened. So Joe was the first person actually on a snowboard. And he needed to make sure, I didn't forget that. So he'd always say, like, you're the second, I'm the first. Because he was actually working on the slope. He was making the snow. He had the snow cat. So he was the first, and then I was the second, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a snowboarder, so
he'd appreciate that for sure. No, it doesn't count, exactly.
All right, that's all we got time for. Thanks so much, Fayik. I guess one final question is, out of the people that is there someone you'd recommend that comes on the podcast next?
I think my brother would be a cool addition. Obviously, you know him. He went to IMG. He's playing professionally now in the Saudi League. So yeah, I think he'd be a great person. I don't know if you've spoken to him recently, but I'm sure he'd love to catch up.
Awesome. We'll be in touch, and thanks so much for your time.